Hello and welcome to FootballFan.Zone, the website that gives you insight from the inside ex-pros, ex-managers, journalists and fans like Alan Curbishley, Paddy, Barclay and Adam McKola from Fulltime Devils. Now we're talking about Raheem Sterling, the much maligned Raheem Sterling, of course. He went away with England recently and was either rested for not playing, for being too tired, or was it just not training for being too tired? That hasn't been worked out just yet. I'm going to speak to a very well-respected ex-manager and player. Now, has this been lost in translation in some ways? And the reason I ask that is because Roy Hodgson came out before the game and said that he was too tired to play. Yet, as it transpires over the next 48 to 72 hours, I think he was too tired, perhaps needed resting, to train. And they're two very, very different messages that have been sent out. Let's talk about not playing first and foremost. 19 years of age, should a player of his age be tired?
Well, you know, when I first heard it, I felt that if I was Roy Hodgson, I'd rather the player say to me, "I'm not right, I'm not 100%," than him to go into the game when I've pinned my hopes on him and he goes into the game and he doesn't perform. So I'd rather him be honest with me and say to me that, you know, I'm not right, whatever. If the boy, because, you know, Brendan Rodgers come out and said one thing and obviously recorded from the other side that there was a different conversation. But let's just get to the crux of the matter. I keep hearing this thing about he's 19, he shouldn't be tired. Okay, fine. Look at Raheem Sterling's last 6 months. Liverpool was on the verge of their first championship for 20 odd years. He played in every game. He was fantastic in the running. He was fantastic. You know, and the effort that was put in was immense. Then he goes off on World Cup duty. He then gets the nod to play in the hole instead of Rooney. Rooney gets relegated to left wing. Raheem Sterling, Roy Hodgson is saying, "You're my man to play in the hole." He then plays a World Cup campaign, comes back to Liverpool, goes straight into the pre-season, has played more football than any other Liverpool player. On the face of that, I would have thought he needed a rest at some stage. He would have needed a rest. He's only 19. He's played so much football in the last 6 months, last year.
Well,
High profile.
Not just last 6 months, Al. I last 18 months, because this boy's rise has been meteoric.
High profile.
And over the last 6 months, the last 12 months, he has gone to now not only a regular a player for Liverpool, but his national side.
But what I'm saying is high profile games, massive games. And he needed a rest. Now, if he's come to see Roy Hodgson and say to Roy Hodgson, "Look, I want to miss training at Liverpool, you know, I normally have 2 days off." That's I think is the crux of the matter.
This is English, not Liverpool.
Same as Sturridge. I know. And Roy Hodgson is saying, well, this is the way I run my regime. That's the way Brendan Rodgers runs his regime. Totally different, and et cetera, et cetera. But going back to the crux of the matter, if Raheem Sterling would have come to me and said to me, "Look, I'm really tired. I feel jaded, mentally and physically. You know, I'm not right at the moment," I'd have appreciated that rather than him saying nothing. I think the problem for me is it became public.
Well, listen, football fans will listen to this and think, how can a 19-year-old on £80-90 a week be tired?
It's irrelevant.
And Adam, as a fan, how do you view this?
I kind of feel it's hard for me to say. He's a Liverpool player, can't stand him, can't stand them. But I do kind of feel sorry for him in the sense that Roy Hodgson's opened his big mouth about his situation. He's already been doing it on tubes and trams and trains or whatever it was about Rio Ferdinand. And he's done it again. And in my opinion, it all goes back to Roy Hodgson. And I don't think he should be England manager, in my opinion. I think he epitomises what is wrong with English football and the FA. They are too out of date, too behind modern day football. And you look at that, Raheem Sterling is a player that relies on his pace. And he's a pacey player. So when he plays games, he's putting 110% in. He's obviously going to be tired next day. Should the manager be coming out and saying that, knowing how the media will react, Twitter will react, and all of that?
Do we not want our managers to be honest? And as soon as the manager is honest, he's asked a direct question.
I can't believe it.
And you're in the media, Paddy. We asked in the media direct questions. We want direct answers.
I can't believe it.
Okay, go on.
What's wrong, Paddy?
This is ridiculous. I can't believe that you, as a representative of fans, are arguing for managers to be aloof Now I know. Now wait, but no, you've heard you say that when it seems that the business in the tube train, that was the first thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have liked that because he was talking about a player who was a Manchester United player at the time.
I'm defending a Liverpool player here, by the way. So
yeah, but
he doesn't really.
In the tube train, he never mentioned Sterling, but he did mention Rio Ferdinand. Now it is arguable that he shouldn't have said that, but when he's travelling on a tube train, and I presume you've no problem with that, or do you want all managers to go?
No, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that.
Limos. And then when the fans say, "Roy, can you just tell us one thing?" What's he supposed to say? Nah. You just keep to yourself. You're just little fans. I'll just take the money and I'll be aloof. I mean, is that what you want?
There's a way to, your players tell you something. He knows how people are going to react, though, right? Or, if he comes out and says, Raheem Sterling told me he's tired, he knows fans and players and people and the way social media is these days. They're going to push it over the top.
It's the reaction that's wrong. And if I may say so, also in the case of Sterling, which is the point of it. Roy, a lot of people are saying now, yes, all he had to do was lie. All he had to do was lie to the paying public, to the England fans who were about to make
your job then, Paddy, is to find out the truth. So therefore, if he is then to be seen and exposed as a liar...
We can't find out...
No, but you will,
look,
Paddy.
I've been a journalist. I've been a journalist for 40 years, and you can't find out the truth unless people tell you.
Of course, but your job is then to dig it out. And this is another angle that's not been mentioned yet. What if he wasn't to play Raheem Sterling and England were to get beat in that game? The first thing you as a journalist would ask him, why didn't Raheem Sterling play? And he's now protecting his own job. He's under pressure. You guys are chasing him. He's a pack of wolves anyway.
The manager's job is to protect his players.
I'm certainly not.
But what about his own career? What about his own job? What about
You're talking about a young player here. He's 19 years old. He's going
what should he have said? What should he have said?
He's a Liverpool. I don't care about Raheem Sterling, but in my opinion, he shouldn't have come out and said words such as.
What should he have said?
Maybe I don't know.
What should he have said?
We know how that's going to be twisted.
What should he have said?
Maybe he shouldn't have answered the question.
What should he have said?
But one while you're getting your story together. I don't mean that. But what a lot of commentators have done, and we're wonderful in the media in this country for pasting hindsight onto every column. But what they're saying is he should just have said, I'm picking, what's the boy from the other, Adam Lallana, instead of Raheem Sterling. So what would the reaction to that have been? Has he gone mad? He's just named Raheem Sterling as our best player, and now he's dropping them. He would then have been in the position of having to say, well, I did that partly on fitness reasons. And that's precisely what he said.
He's picked up a knock or he's done this.
But
to come out and say he's tired.
Why does he have to lie?
But to be fair to Raheem Sterling, going off that point, Gary Neville, I've read his autobiography as well, and he says something in the 98-99 season. At the beginning of the season, he felt he needed a break. He was new to everything. And he had that break, and after that, he had the best season of his life. So it's not. I don't think there's any problem with Raheem Sterling being tired.
For me,
I think he's a footballer who's. We look at it as fans. We've been sitting all summer waiting for the season to start. But players have been playing in World Cups, travelling all around the world and doing that. I don't have a problem with him being tired. I just think the whole situation has been handled incorrectly by the management.
Of what? Which what? His club or country? What about Liverpool?
I'd love to say Liverpool right now.
Okay. But where did Liverpool come into this? Because let's say Adam's absolutely right. Now, there's not a lot I'll disagree with that. But where did Liverpool fit in amongst this equation? Because he played 120 minutes, including extra time, against Middlesbrough in a League Cup game, and yet missed a game against Aston Villa, which they got beat at Anfield, and he was dropped for that game, or rested, call it what you want. But Roy Hodgson, it would appear, is taking all the flack. What about Brendan Rodgers? Why is he not receiving some criticism?
Well, I think that Brendan Rodgers, is the manager of Liverpool in the Champions League this year, and I think that he's not the most experienced manager. He's not got a lot of games behind him, and I think he's struggling a little bit with the demands of the Premier League, the Champions League, etc. But there's nothing wrong with Brendan Rodgers having the conversation with Roy Hodgson, saying, look, you've got a couple of my players there, more than a couple, you've got quite a few of my players there.
And more to come through.
Yeah, you've got quite a few of my players there. Can I just give you a heads up on one or two of them? Daniel Sturridge needs 2 days rest after every game.
But Adam's made the point that he believes, and I'm paraphrasing there, that he's called him a dinosaur. Yeah. Now, what he's saying now is that perhaps Roy Hodgson's days of being a manager, and being involved in football for so long, hasn't quite moved with the times. That conversation...
Should have got sacked straight.
But how is that conversation going to go down between Brendan Rodgers, a young up-and-coming, and let's be honest, a forward-thinking manager, but against a manager now who doesn't quite see resting after 2 days because he's come out and said, I don't believe in this. So how do you break down those barriers? By
having the conversations. So he's had the conversation, Brendan Rodgers, and he said, look, this is certain players, and we've all, when you've been a manager, you've got 20-odd players, 25 players, 30 players in your squad. They're all different. They all need different training, they need different recovery, they're all different ages, etc. All got different injuries or had old injuries, etc. So you have to marry that up and what is best for everybody concerned. So I think that if Roy Hodgson was given the advice, and he's a bright man, he was given the advice, and it's up to him how he uses it. Yeah. He is in charge of them 20-odd players when they turn up for England duty, right? And he expects them, the England squad, to adhere to what he wants from his squad. When they go back to their club, when they go back to their clubs and their club manager, they then have to revert back to what their clubs want. When they're with England, he is in charge and he lays down the rules. And, you know, it's been unfortunate, especially for Liverpool, that they seem to have caught the flack in this. And Daniel Sturridge getting injured on England duty, Raheem Sterling, all the publicity surrounding him being tired. You know, and I feel sorry for the players. I feel sorry for Roy, but it won't change. He's the England manager. There are his rules. If you don't want them rules, then don't come into the squad. Yeah. That's as simple as that.
I agree with that, but it's important to realise that the media have wound us all up on this. I mean,
what do you mean us? You're part of the media.
No, not me. Obviously not me, but I'm trying.
Come on, you can't get that with that.
The last thing. No.
I like the use of this phrase there.
No, seriously. Well, Brendan has been. Brendan has fallen, although he's an intelligent man, he's fallen for the press have been mischievous from minute one on this one. And I mean, there's no question about that. Trust me. Well, you talk about it from the inside. I'll tell you it from the inside. This is pure mischief, but it's kept the papers fed during an international break, right? Which is the function of the whole thing. Now, the thing is that at the end of the day, Raheem Sterling has done nothing wrong. All he's done, in my opinion, is display a bit of maturity in going to the manager and reporting how he feels.
See, you say that, but yes. I've spoken to experienced pros on this,
yes,
and they've used the word naive. You've said maturity.
No, I'll tell you what there is, Jace.
I agree.
It's an interesting one. I'll tell you what it is. All the senior pros I've heard talk about this have gone, I can't believe a player at 19 was tired, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And all the managers, bar none, who was interviewed before the Premier League games resumed this weekend, all back Sterling.
There's no doubt about it. Communication between the club manager and the country manager have to be better, and that's a problem that needs to be sorted out and sorted out quickly. I think we'll all agree for the benefit not just the club and the country, but also a young 19-year-old footballer that we all want to see the best of. You've heard what the fan Adam has had to say. Paddy, Barclay, the journalist, Alan Curbishley. It's your chance to have your say via the website, FootballFan.Zone, or via Twitter, Talk2FanZone.